Hey, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to That's Novel. I am Stephanie Phillips with Stephanie's Book Reports, and I am so happy to introduce you to Reese Ryan. She's joining me tonight from my hometown. It's kind of cool to get somebody to talk to that lives from my hometown. So we might even actually know some of the same similar people, non-book related people. I haven't stalked your friends list on Facebook to see if you if we have non-book related friends from home. But anyway, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Yeah. This is my first live video thing, so I'm excited and terrified.
Yeah, it'll take a few minutes to get used to. If Reese is new to y'all, we have her Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, Goodreads, and her website all linked in the episode information there for you, so you can check her out. And let me get my Amazon. I've already pulled up your Amazon author page. Just have to bring it. Get back up to that screen on my laptop here. It's kind of funny. Right before the show started, I will have to tell about my little blunder here. Before the show started, I have I think most of y'all that watch the show on a regular basis, you know that I have two boxes. So like I have this little box that starts the show, and then I can watch myself and the author talk, and then there's the tabs. I have like my full screen with Chrome up with the tabs, and well, right before I was getting ready to start the show, I X'd out of the reason I were connected, and I'm just like, oh, and so yeah, it was just trying to resize the box again. I'm like, please, I didn't even go anywhere near that X at the top. We don't want that to happen while we are live, because that would be a mess. That's not. Anyway, it would be kind of some crazy going on. But anyhow, so let's see here. How long? When did you start writing? Was it in 20? Or I guess maybe you probably are like written a while, but 2013 is when you first published, right?
Yeah, that's when my first book with Carina Press came out, Making the First Moves. So that series was my Bad Boys Gone Good series, and there were 2 books in that series. So yeah, the first one was published, I think, around my birthday, March of 2013. No, I'm sorry. It was my husband's birthday. So it was around, it was in July of 2013. So.
One of those. Somebody's birthday.
It seems like all the books comes out like either my birthday or his birthday. So at least one book every year.
You have a good, right. It's like having a baby, right? You like to write it correctly. You get it to your editor. They have it great, and so it just times it just right so that you can.
Yeah.
Another book. It's a birthday.
They're just like these days. So, because there's just so much going on.
Yes. Was that your first experience? You didn't self-publish first, right? You just did traditional straight.
Yeah. And I actually went with them too because, to me, it was kind of like right in the middle of traditional and, self-pub, and I knew I wanted to self-pub eventually. So that was my first experience, period, publishing. And so then I had those 2 books, and then I was really lazy. I want to say it was half lazy and just half preoccupied for a while before I did anything else again. So that's why the next one didn't come out until this year. So that was quite a distance, but it was like July of 2013 and December of 2013. Then I didn't publish again until March, even though I was writing off and on, for those years in between. So
life happens.
It does, and time passes so quickly if you don't stay focused. That was one lesson that I learned.
So. Yes. Well, and it's hard. Like I have authors, that I represent through my literary agency. Like there's one that I haven't heard from in months, like months. I don't know if she's writing. I don't know what's going on with her. But so, I mean, like, you get caught up in life, and it's kind of like, all right, well, maybe I'll write today. Maybe. If you don't make it like part of your scheduled time of stuff to do for the day, I can totally see how it gets just like pushed to the wayside unless you've got somebody just like screaming in your head and they won't leave you alone. I mean,
and that's exactly it. Because it's like, after I did those 2 books, I submitted another to them, and they gave me an R&R, which actually was really great. Everything that they recommended in the R&R, I accepted, but for some reason, it's just like I wasn't motivated to get on it. I guess I knew I had wanted to do self-publishing, and so I'd kind of been like dragging my feet, knowing that that's what I really wanted to do, but being terrified of doing that. And so I think it was kind of that thing where like, okay, I'm working on this and I don't really have anything specifically planned for it. I don't know if I'm going to go with them or self-publish it. And, without, like you said, without having that kind of deadline or anything like that, it just, the next thing I knew, I couldn't believe how much time had passed. So by the time I finally started preparing to self-pub that series or that first book, because I actually did take that book adventure and all the R&R that they gave me, I loved all of it, incorporated, made some other changes. And I was in the process of self-publishing it, and I had decided to write a prequel to the book. And so I had formatted it, and I was about to hit send, and I had already earlier submitted the book to Kamani, and I hadn't heard anything. And I had poked them again, I hadn't heard anything. And I was like, let me just poke them again one time. And I kind of forgot about it. And I was about to hit send, and right before I hit send, like a day or 2 before I was going to hit send, they contacted me and said they wanted the book that came after the prequel. So that kind of just changed the trajectory of everything.
Well, that's great. I mean, at least, you finally got their attention. Persistence.
Yeah.
Right? And hello, people, are you going to buy my book? Are you going to buy it? Are you going to buy it? Are you going to publish it for me, please?
So, yeah.
We have, my friend Donna, you've probably seen her on Facebook all over the place. Well, she watches the show religiously. She actually builds these episodes for me, because, she's awesome like that. And anyway, some butter. You're gonna get a brown nose today. So she is asking if we can see her bookcase because there seems to be a theme. She wants to see your bookcase. You have a themed bookcase behind you.
Oh, let me see. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot about that to-do list. I'm like, let me take this off of here so it won't be up, and then I was going to copy from it, and I totally forgot. So I don't know that there's a theme other than the fact that piece of paper is flying back there that should not be live TV. But I mean, I tried to I don't know, I have a little bit of everything in there. I just have a ton of stuff in there. And I would probably say in that list of books up there, I probably have not read 75% of those because it's just, when ebooks first came out, I was one of those people who was like, I'll never have a Kindle. I like the smell of books and blah, blah. So, I was one of those hardcore for a while. And then once I finally kind of gave into the idea of it, and then I got like a Kindle for Christmas or something. Oh my goodness.
Downhill from there.
I went years without reading a physical book, so I was still collecting them. So I'm still, now I've actually kind of shifted back to reading a lot of physical books, but I still have a lot to catch up with. So
I know that feeling. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking like with your bookshelf, and I look over here at mine like,
if you move this piece of paper.
Move your to-do list out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, let me take it and copy, anything that's missing, onto the next week. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And I got distracted. So
Squirrel.
Which is what people like me do. So.
Well, it's so easy. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, it's not hard to get distracted, and you've got a million and one things going on, and then there's Facebook. If people want to get lost in Facebook, and if you're like me, like you have PMs, you have text messages, I mean, there's a ton of other stuff going on. There's family and kids, and there's like, okay, I'll eventually get to it, and I feel bad when people, I'll say, well, I'll do that like this evening, or I'll get to that, whatever. And then something happens, a squirrel, the kids need something, it's like, eventually I'm going to get around to it. So at least you write your stuff down, because I don't even do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I write it down, and sometimes I'm like, wow, I wrote that like 3 weeks ago.
And it still needs to be done eventually.
I'm still working on that. So
yeah, exactly. Always a work in progress, regardless of what it is. It's always a work.
Absolutely. So yes. It is very difficult to stay on point, especially when you have so many things going on. Like you said, it's not just work, career, writing, stuff like that, but absolutely you have to make time for family and healthy living. So that's one of the things too that I'm trying to make myself do more, because it's so easy to sit at my desk all day.
Oh yes, exactly. That was just, I was talking about that with somebody today about exercising, and like maybe once my kids go back to school, like, okay, y'all, it's going to be on live YouTube, right? Maybe once my kids go back to school, I might decide I want to do something. But I'm not holding my breath, because exercise might as well be a 4-letter word.
I have index where I'm like really good, and then when I fall off the wagon, like I fall hard, like face first into Krispy Kremes, and it's not right. It's not good.
One of the guys I went to high school with owns a gym in town, though. So if you need me to hook you up,
awesome.
I can awesome. Be like, Chris, you wanna help my friend out here? We need some motivation. But I don't know what kind of gym. I don't think it's like a Planet Fitness kind of thing. I think it's more like a boxing kind of MMA gym. I don't think it's a normal.
Yeah.
I mean, what you think is a normal gym. I guess his idea of a gym is what it really was supposed to be. And then everybody else is like, it's like one of these workout things. I don't know, whatever. But so I think his might be like one of those MMA boxing. I don't know.
Oh,
I
wow.
think that's professional. I don't know. Maybe, whatever. But yeah, he does a lot of that. Yes, I can barely, like, I'm thinking, my husband has even said, maybe we could go, you take a walk around the block, because it's like 3.5 miles around our whole neighborhood if we walked the whole loop. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, we could do that with the kids, could ride their bike or whatever. And I'd end up carrying my youngest kid 3/4 of the way around the neighborhood. I'd definitely get the work out there. But like today, the heat index is 110. Well, I'm not walking in 110 weather.
I know, it feels like you're suffocating. I can't.
Yes.
I do walk in my neighborhood sometimes, but the thing about our neighborhood is we have like a really small development. And so like I can walk the entire loop of my neighborhood in like 20 minutes. And so to get like a really good walk, I've got to like walk around and around. And so even though I like my neighborhood, I love my neighborhood, it's the same reason I don't like to walk the track, because I hate walking the track, because I feel like just
monotonous.
Mm-hmm. And then after a few, I'm just ready to, go back home or whatever. I'm just bored. But if I walk like into town, because we're, walking distance from downtown, if I walk into town, I got to get back home. So,
oh my gosh. I used to walk, okay, here's hometown talk here, y'all. I used to walk when I was, so we moved there. when I was in 6th grade. I was starting 6th grade when we moved there. And I would walk from the middle school to where the library is. Well, let me back that up. When I first moved there, the library was across the street from the middle school. Not on the gymnasium side, the other side by the offices of the middle school. And so going across the street was not that broad. But then they moved to where they are now. I don't know how many blocks away that is. So I would walk there because my mom taught at the elementary school, not the one named for the town, the other one. Like, I don't want to give all these names on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about. Like anyhow, so she taught at the elementary school, and they were like an hour after us before she got out of school. So I would walk uptown to the library and wait for her to come get me when she got out of school. So like every day. And then, that was when Elliot's Pharmacy was still in business.
Oh, wow.
And I would walk, go drop my stuff off at the library and then walk to the pharmacy and either get a sandwich, something to drink, whatever, because she'd give me money to get. So that was my afternoon snack. I would walk back to the library, do my homework. It was like I walked all over that place.
Yeah.
That place.
Yeah.
It was before I even got my driver's license in high school. I would walk from the high school to downtown, to the library. Now, you wouldn't even catch me doing that mess. Be like, make it be
And I do, and like I totally enjoy that stuff. And it's like a lot of times I will say like I don't have the time, but if I make the time to work out, I work better the rest of the day. Like my brain's clicking, and everything's going, and I feel better. So I mean, it is a thing. Like I wake up in a panic, like I have all these things I have to do. I don't have time,
Right.
I do make the time. I do feel better. So I just have to get back on. And like I said, I'll get on a kick and then fall off the kick. So, I'm gonna start again, but I have to finish the project I'm working on right now, or just like I gotta finish it.
Right, exactly. Well, like you're talking about, like in the morning, if you got up and you did it, and then maybe it would help get swelling to finish all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I can see how that works because then like your brain is pumping, your mind is clear because you've pretty much worked it out walking 10 miles, whatever it is. And then I don't even know. Let me see. I'll look on my phone. I might walk. I don't even think I walk a mile a day, like the whole day. And that's pretty bad because I walked a half a mile today.
Well, that is one of the reasons I do love my Fitbit, because once I got that, I realized, I knew I was sedentary because I'm a writer and I sit down, but I had no idea how sedentary I was until I got that, Fitbit. And then I saw like, wow, you're not even cracking 3,000 steps a day. You know what I'm saying? So that really made me step up my game. So as a matter of fact, I need to get a new band because my band broke on mine. And so that's why I'm not wearing it now. But
yeah. Well, do you have an iPhone? They have that heart app. What's this thing called? Tell us the data. And they have that activity thing.
Girl, I crossed over to the Mac finally. I got a Mac about a year or so ago, but I still cannot break to the iPhone. I'm just I love my Samsung. I know.
My husband had a Samsung. I can't stand
people, the diehard iPhone people are like, when are you gonna come over? My husband, we were a Samsung family, and then one by one they went over to the other side. So I'm out here on an island by myself, but I love my Samsungs.
Yeah, it's crazy. So my husband had a Samsung before but now he has my old iPhone. He got me a new one for Mother's Day. But like, see, I don't know if you can see here this little health app.
Okay.
It'll tell you how many floors you walked, how many steps, how many miles that equals out to every day. And I mean, I hold my phone in my hand 99.9% of the time. So
I think Samsung has a app like that I have on here, but I don't carry it all the time like that. So I was like, okay, I feel like I'm missing valuable steps. So, so that's the only reason why I'm like, yeah, I need to have my Fitbit because I'm just not carrying my phone like that. I used to have it more, I think, but now I try to leave it places purposely. So like I'll leave it in the bedroom sometimes, or if I'm downstairs, I'll leave it up in my office. Just because I'm like, I need to be away from it sometimes. So that's why I prefer the Fitbit. But yeah, that right now, until I get that new band, I should start using the app that's on Samsung.
Or you could get an Apple Watch.
Or a Samsung one.
To go along with your Mac computer, you could Apple Watch. I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't foresee myself ever getting an Apple Watch, but my best friend has one, and she absolutely loves that thing. And it does that same calculation stuff.
Well, the thing that made me think of it, the thing that does have me on the fence thinking about it is number one is that I have a Mac now, and so it'd be easier for it to sync. But also because I saw the commercial, and I'm pretty sure that was the Apple Watch, the new one where you can swim in it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm all like I go swimming every day, but just the fact that you can go swimming in it, if I ever wanted to, I can do it.
That's exactly right. Yes, I don't like to swim in my watch. I can swim in my watch up to like 50 meters, I think, but I wouldn't want to wear this in the pool.
Yeah.
And and then I don't want to leave it anywhere. This was a wedding gift from my husband, and it's expensive. It's a high dollar
nice
watch. Like this was before we got became broke. So it's a high dollar watch. I don't want to leave it anywhere.
No, yeah, I wouldn't want to test either. I don't blame you.
Like, maybe take it back. Nope. I mean, it's insured, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I didn't have it in, and yeah. I just I'm right there with you. I don't want to wear my watch in the pool, but yes, in with it and be like, let's go. Then you don't have to worry about taking anything off. But I'm the same way, like with my rings and stuff, because I don't want the chlorine, because I have a sapphire as my stone, and I don't want the chlorine to eat that.
Oh yeah, it clouds it or something, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't want it, and it's soft, so I don't want the chlorine to be like eaten. I don't no. So yeah. Let me just stay out the pool. I don't have to worry about it. Exercise, not in the pool. I don't have to worry about it. Anyway, so yes, we have a reader. Her name is Megan. She's here a lot on visiting on the show. She says, or on the live chat, she says Samsung does have a similar app. She never uses it.
Yes. I can't think of the name. Like I know it's on my phone, unless I might have taken it off recently to make some room or something. But I definitely did have it on there at some point. So yeah.
Yeah. So until your Fitbit gets a new band, it might have to be yes. Yeah. My husband has one of those too, a Fitbit, but he hadn't worn it in a while. I don't know.
Yeah, this is like my fourth. I like them, but that is about my fourth one that I've had. So which makes me a little sad angry. But
yeah, they should last a lot longer than they do.
Like each one has had a different problem, so but at the same time, it's the one I prefer right now. So like I said, the band doesn't cost that much to replace because it's just a regular band, not the leather one, which is the expensive one. But yeah, I would agree that all these mishaps shouldn't be carrying on. So if you're hearing me, Fitbit, work on that.
Right.
Because like everyone's had something different. They've broken in different ways.
Yeah,
and you already know it's not like I'm out there like kickboxing or anything. So what up?
Get it right. That's called some quality assurance problems right there.
But so I definitely want to make sure I get back to walking in town and doing other things. But one of the things that's got me excited, one of the trips that I'm excited about taking, and sometimes I get on these little things where I see something and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. you know, even though it might be something that scares me or I'm terrified or whatever. So like years and years ago, how we ended up going to Jamaica for, you know, for a vacation is because we were looking, we were going to go, my husband and myself and then his sister and her husband at the time, we're going to go on a trip together. And so we were looking at cruises and just kind of looking at everything. And I saw this Dun River Falls in Jamaica. And I saw it as an excursion on a cruise. And I'm like, you know, I want to do that. And I tell my husband that, and he's like, but you're afraid of heights. And I'm like, I know. He's like, but you're, you know, terrified of water. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But I really, really want to do this. And so we actually did. We went there. We went to a Sandals, which was fantastic. And we did that trip. So anyway, my new trip that I want to do is terrifying me to death is the book I turned in the Pleasure Cove series, which would be officially book 3, which is going to come out in January of 2018. Pleasure Cove is a fictional town in North Carolina. It's a coastal town in North Carolina, but the couple ends up spending a lot of time in Asheville. And so like there's all these great places in Asheville that they visited. I've been to Asheville myself before, but I haven't done all of the things that they've done. I went to Biltmore, and I definitely want to go back there. I'd love to go back there when the flowers are in bloom. They weren't when I was there. I went there for the holiday season. But there's just so many things that they did, and there's this mountain climb that they do. I'm like, I want to do that. And I'm like, I know I'm gonna be terrified, but I'm gonna do it. Because like I just in reading about, you know, and writing about it and researching it and just getting so absorbed in all of the great, you know, things that Asheville has to offer. I'm like, you know, I need to go back and do it right. So so I am looking forward to that. That's probably one of the things we're gonna do sometime later this year.
You can have your characters experience it before you get.
Well, they already have. So, like I said, now like I want to go do. I want to visit all these, you know, monoliths and the falls and all those kind of things. So, we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Yes. Well, you know, my husband asked me one year, "Would you want to go to Grandfather Mountain?" I said, "Heck, no."
See, I can't, and see, that's the perfect. I've been wanting to go there for a while, and I'm probably gonna have a character go there, and actually my free read that's on Harlequin, Baby Be Mine. That one actually, at some point they're in some mountainous area, and it was kind of inspired by like Grandfather Mountain, all that kind of area in there is where they go at some point. So a lot of these little places I'm like that I want to go or I'm interested in end up being points of research, and they end up showing up in the story. So it's I'm kind of glad that I, instead of, you know, for the most part, it's not real places, though there are some that are used, because in that same, you know, that book that's coming out in January, Playing with Seduction, that one is. You know, they're in real places. They're going to real places in Nashville and real places in Raleigh, the Pit, that they stop to eat and stuff like that. But, you know, in the town itself is Pleasure Cove. By it being, you know, fictional, I get the chance to kind of fudge stuff a lot, make stuff be where I want it to be, which I like a lot.
I have to look this up because I think this is crazy. I think my cousin's wife's family owned the Pit.
Really? I've eaten there before lots of times.
I want to own a barbecue place.
When I worked in downtown Raleigh.
Right. They own a barbecue place. I want to make sure that's the right one, because yeah, that's just hilarious. But I'm like, okay, let me see here. I'm thinking that that's what it is, but I want to make sure. Why don't these people have this listed on their Facebook page? They own some barbecue place, but I think that it's in Cary, right? Like
this one is in downtown.
In downtown.
Yeah, this one's in downtown Raleigh, and it's been around for a while because it's kind of iconic to the area. So
let me see. What is the place? They own some barbecue place. They've been there forever and a day, but I can't think. Like, really? Anyhow. Oh, so for those of you that have never been to North Carolina, I thought, oh, I might need to explain what Grandfather Mountain is. So Grandfather Mountain is it's two mountains across from one another, and there is a wooden swing bridge that connects the two. And so so you walk from one side of the mountain to the other side, or to the other mountain, and you're on this wooden swing bridge. No. And like, no. Just no.
That reminds me of like the pictures I saw not long ago, like on, all these different little Facebook videos and stuff. And there's like this crazy glass terrace or bridge or something in some Asian country that's like way up in the mountains. And then there was another one where like it goes along this cliff and like people are like holding on to the wall for dear life and like in tears. And I'm like, dude, why'd you go up there? So yeah, no. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Like I look at it, some of those things I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. I want to work up the courage to do that. Like I eventually did Down River Falls. But some of the stuff I'm just like, yeah, no, that's okay. So like I've been to some of those towers. Is it the CN Tower in Toronto that has the glass floor? So I've done stuff like that. And believe me, when I did it, most of my body was off the floor and like my foot was on the floor. So yeah, no.
They have, the north side of the Grand Canyon, on the north end, or the north side. They have a north side and the south side, and I think it's the north end. They have an acrylic bridge. It goes out like so far, and you can walk out over the canyon, and it's acrylic, so it's all clear. It's like,
I know.
My husband is like, would you go on this? I'm like, no. What do you see? He showed me one, somebody else, somewhere else, they have an acrylic bridge like that. He showed me a picture of it the other day, and I said, those people are crazy. They're certifiable. You may get me out of one of those. No.
No. I mean, there are some things that are way, out of my usual character that I want to do, like, for instance, in Playing with Desire, the first book, I had them go to a real place in Virginia. I mean, the name, I didn't use a name, but it was based on a real place in Virginia. I think it was Richmond. It was this massive mountain climbing facility when they have the mountain climbing stuff. And by the time I researched all the holes and, wrote the experience and knew all the different terms and stuff, I had in my head that I wanted to go. So that's one of the things I want to do. But I have a feeling that when I get there, I'm going to be like, why did you do this? But yeah, I really want to go to this place in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, I don't think I can do rock climbing. I mean, like the rock walls, I don't even think I can get it. My daughter loves to do these things, and I'm like,
yeah, and that's
when you're in a harness and you're relatively safe and stuff.
Like actual mountains. It's indoors. It's a rock wall. It's rock walls. I mean, that's scary enough for me. I'm sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
I've always been terrified of heights. Always. I mean, I don't mind flying. I can fly in an airplane, not a problem. But I don't do like Ferris wheels. I don't do roller coasters. I don't. No. Thanks. I just keep my feet on the ground. When I'm on the ground, I'll fly in an airplane. It's fine. But that's like the only heights that I'll deal with is an airplane or ship. I can take, cruise is fine, but you have to, writing books, you have to kind of, unless you're just going to do the stuff over and over again. There, you gotta spice it up sometimes, and so there's experiences that
yeah.
gotta,
and that's always interesting and fun, because learning about new experiences and what have you is always exciting for me. But yeah, so every now and then you want to go and do some of that stuff. Not all the time, because research, that's what the internet's for.
thankfully.
Yes.
Yes. Do you know what I saw today is Henry David Thoreau's 200th birthday?
Oh, wow.
I'm thinking, what kind of research did he do in the woods? Like, what, I don't know, his kind of stuff. I don't like him and Emerson, their stuff. I was just kind of like, whatever. What were y'all smoking? Like I don't know. Whatever, transcendentalism, whatever, people, whatever floats your boat. I reckon you high on a tree, something. I don't know. It's like, what in the world? But back then, even Shakespeare, like, how do you, obviously you think you just, so much pressure on an author today is to do research for their stories and get it right and not be, it's fiction, but you have to have as close to nonfiction as you possibly can in a fictional story,
Right.
But if you read, like Midsummer's Night or, Romeo and Juliet, like, is it historically correct? Like, not even that, but is it correct in location? Or is the stuff, like, obviously he made it, it's now historically correct, but he made it correct, obviously, for that time period, because that's what he was living in. But, does everybody go fact checking on or Thoreau, this random kind of stuff. But, you think about all this time that y'all spend on research and getting stuff right for your books nowadays, like,
now it's essential, because if you're writing something, especially something that's based on any kind of like a reality or whatever, you're going to have somebody call you out, So, it's worthwhile to, not over research, because that's one of the things I tend to do is fall down that rabbit hole of research. This is interesting, and it leads me to that, and it leads me to that. And so I'm having a lot of that now, because I'm writing a new series for Harlequin Desire. Will be my first book with them, and it's going to come out in March 2018. And it's based on a family who owns well, I don't want to go into too much detail on it, but they own a very specific business that I needed to know about, So for me, I needed to know as much as I could know about this industry and this business and kind of the history of it. Even though the reader doesn't necessarily need to know all that, they don't want to know all the details of how the thing is made, the sausage is made, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah.
Well, you got that right down the street. All you got to do is drive down the road.
Not this one, because this is an industry. This is an industry that's kind of centralized elsewhere. If I say where, everybody will know what it is. But it's kind of centralized elsewhere in the United States, and so.
You said sausage, but
Yeah, I just using that as a.
If you're gonna do sausage, you got it right down the street.
Yeah. No, it's not actual sausage. No, it's not. It's something way. Yeah, well, sausage can be cool. Sausage can be cool. People who love sausage, but
right. Well, no, I'm saying that was like the business type thing. There's always, like, my husband. We're going on vacation.
You don't think of some, sexy family drama related to people who make sausage. It could be, but that's the first thing that pops into your mind. And so,
there's toys, but anyway, there's adult toys. People fetishes.
By the time you keep guessing things that are so much worse, I'm just gonna go ahead and end up telling you.
Right? No. Well, so, like, my husband and our family is going on vacation to St. Louis next month, and so my husband's like, I wonder what they're famous for, like, food wise or whatever. I'm like, beer. Hello. beer. St. Louis is beer. I don't know about their food, but it's beer. Anheuser-Busch is beer. You know? St. Louis. So it's just kind of funny. I mean, there are some things that are, you know, geographically based in places. You know, it's like buffalo wings. So Buffalo, New York. You know, I mean, it's just one of those. You know where to find them. But anyhow, yeah. Well, so is desire? You know, I can't keep straight like all the different. You know, like
Line.
Has so many different. Is it more of like suspense? Is it contemporary? Is it erotic?
No, it's contemporary. Desire is contemporary. They usually it's a sexier line. It's not as hot as Blaze, but you know there definitely are usually at least 2 love scenes in it. It's contemporary, and then they usually want the families, or at least one of the hero or heroine usually comes from a wealthy or powerful family. So that's kind of usually some of the things that you'll always find in that particular line. So yeah. So this will be my first book for them. And like I said, my Kamani ones, Playing with Desire came out in March. Playing with Temptation just came out earlier this month. The official date was July 1st. And then I have a novella that comes out in an anthology with Nana Malone. That's a holiday themed story in the same world that comes out in October. And in September, before that, I forgot, there's like a cross Harlequin a collaboration with 12 authors that we're doing a series called, the final name of it was Secrets of the A-List, but each 12 different authors each did one episode in it, and I'm episode number 4. So
Hey.
and that comes, I was happy when it was 4 because I was like, number 1, I like number 4. It's a good number. And I actually really like all the stuff that happened in my episodes. So I was super excited about that. So that's coming out there. So it's a lot happening this year. And then, of course, preparing for all the things that are happening next year. So, yeah, I've had a lot going on. That and my first official grandbaby. So, so busy and doing a lot of grandmaing. So, yeah, super busy.
Yep. Rotten kid. Rotten.
we are spoiling him because I mean he is not quite 3 months old, and he's definitely learning how to wrap us around his little finger. So, and my husband is just in absolute love with him, period, because he was actually the first person to hold him, and but he also looks a lot like my husband. So, you know, he's just really, every time I look up, he's like trying to get them to come over with the baby. So
I want to see my baby. Bring it over. Yeah. Bring him over.
I have to keep reminding him, like, you do realize that's their baby, right? So,
right. We've already raised ours. Now they can turn. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's adorable, and we absolutely love him and his older brother. So, yeah.
That's always, well, I mean, I have a ways to go before I better have a ways to go before my kids are only 8 and 5. I waited till, well, my husband and I were both, you know, older when we had children. I wasn't ready for them in my 20s. Like, I just don't know how, I mean, it just wouldn't work for me. But, you know, so if I would have had them, or I say it wouldn't have, I mean, I would have adapted, obviously, but I just wasn't interested in having kids in my 20s. I wasn't interested, you know, I barely was interested in having them in my 30s. So and that's when I started with them, was that when I was in my 30s. And so yeah, we're gonna be like old parents here, but and old grandparents, but hopefully we'll be around for quite a while. Hopefully we'll be able to enjoy some grandparenting time. But yeah, my parents, they both, when they see the kids, you know, they do get spoiled rotten.
I'm trying my best to be good and not ruin him for his parents, but it is very hard. So
That's their privilege. You know, you get to, and then they have to correct the behavior when they go back home.
yeah, it's just like, all the toys you buy that make noises, but you want to send them home instead of keeping them at your house.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
that is a real thing.
It's going to keep you up all night long.
Yeah, that's a real thing that grandparents do. Seriously.
Yes.
Every time we buy something that makes noises, we're like, yeah, that one we're not keeping here.
Right. How many did you buy any bath books? You know, like we had several bath books that were given to us. Obviously right now he's not going to be, you just chew on it. But, like those that you can put in the bathtub. My daughter had several Cinderella. She had a couple of Cinderella books and stuff.
They can go in the water. That's actually really cool because the oldest grandson, they both love taking their baths, but the oldest loves, he could stand until he turns to a prune. So I would love to get a bathtub book for him. That's actually a really awesome idea. I have to write that down.
There you go. Add it to your to-do list.
Yes, add that to my to-do list.
They are really, really neat. And then, they can look at them. If they're still, like not really reading, like her Cinderella book, she kept a hold of that sucker forever and a day. It had, it told kind of the story of Cinderella, but it counted as well. So like you had however many brooms, however many clocks, however many, so it was 2 for 1. You were reading and doing math at the same time. And she loved that book. And it was like plastic material, and there was no paper to it whatsoever. And so you put it in the bath, and she would want like read, when we were giving her a bath. And she would just go down, and if her daddy was doing the bath, like he would say, well, how many of this? And she would count or whatever. And then he would make up something like, it would be like 7 clocks, and he would say 7. There's 7. What would he say? Like wheels or something, and she'd be like, "No clock," or like, however she said clock. But she she learned by the force of repetition of what it was, and but she knew that was. And there were brooms, there were mice, all of that from the Cinderella story. So she had, could identify, and I loved that. For her, we would read that story all the time. She'd be like, read, pick it up out of the bathtub, read. She loved that. So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's definitely a good habit to have them be addicted to. I know I was. I've been a huge reader for as long as I can remember. That was our thing. Me and my friends after school, we would go to the library, and it was a little library. It wasn't as big as probably a little corner store or whatever, but that was our library, our neighborhood library, and we went there and we would load up on as many books as we could possibly get at the time. And then I think it was like 21 days that you could keep them. And so, in that 21 days we would, or usually less, we would read all our books and, make our trip back. And that was our thing. We loved going to the library. And so I've always loved reading and, stories and storytelling. So I am thankful to my parents for starting me down that road.
Encouraging that habit, because look where it led you.
Yeah.
Never would have imagined that would come to full circle. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have Sandy Gray. She just commented on the chat. She says, hi, Reese. I just discovered you, and I'm enjoying your Pleasure Cove series.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Can you find those in stores, Reese, or are they digital?
Yes. All those are go on a bookshelf. So they're physical books as well as now the first 2, the ones from Carina Press, are digital only books, but the Pleasure Cove series, they are available on bookshelves, or you can order them through Amazon, a physical book.
Sweet. I'll have to check that out next time I go to Barnes & Noble or Books A Million and be like, I know her. I got to take a picture of her.
And that was really exciting because, like I said, I had the books published before, but they were they were digital only. So that was a really cool moment for me, being able to go to a bookstore and actually see, my book on the shelf. So, and then, I think that's initially when, I was deciding whether I was going to go self-publishing or go with a publisher. That was one of the things that kind of held me back. It's like, okay, I don't want to, do it all. It was 1,000 reasons. I was always making up these reasons in my head how terrifying it was. So when I finally did self-publish a book, I'm like, wow, it wasn't even that hard. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of work involved, and and an investment, with the editor and the book cover designer and all of that. But all of the things in my head that I was thinking, allowing to stop me, it wasn't anywhere near as scary as that. So that's another series that now that series I can't wait to get back to, but it's just, I've got all this other stuff happening. So it's gonna be a minute before I was that next book in that series. Because in that series, the one that is out is actually a prequel to Playing with Desire. So if anyone's read Playing with Desire, they know, it's Liam and Maya's story, and Liam does not get along with his his actual brother, who's back in London. And it's over a woman who is Hunter's wife at the time. But anyway, so as I was writing this book, one of my beta readers was like, you should tell Hunter and Mary's story, which is the brother and that he didn't get along with. And I'm like, I should. And so that became that series. So that actually is the first book in that series. So if you've read Playing with Desire, and you've met Hunter and Mary, their story is Playing by the Rules, and that is the one book I self-published so far. So, but there's other books coming in that series whenever I have time to write them. So
when you're not fulfilling your publisher responsibility.
Yes. So, but it is a priority for me. So I definitely am. The next books will definitely come out next year. I just have to make that happen. So.
Sandy is asking, who's the next story going to be about?
Okay, so the first one was Maya and Liam, which is Playing with Desire. Playing with Temptation, that came out in July 1st. That was Kendra and Nate, and Kendra was Maya's best friend, her half sister. So another sibling of theirs is going to be in October in the holiday novella is Kendra's brother Dash. So that's going to be his story. So that's the next one up. And then also, in Playing with Desire, Liam's best friend Wes gets his story in January of next year. Playing with Seduction. So trying to make my way through the families, because the heart of Pleasure Cove series is basically two families. So the Johnstons and the Williams. So most of the books involve one or the other of them, or if not, they're involved in some way. So one of the two families at least is involved in some way. So
you need a family tree for that sucker.
Yeah. I mean, I learned pretty early on that you go with a big family. Go with a big family. You have lots of stories that you can work with if you go with a big family.
Yeah, for sure. Sandy's asking which brother. I don't know. Are you allowed to say?
Which brother? Oh, okay. So for the novella, that is Kendra's brother, Dash. So if you read Playing with Temptation, near the beginning of the book, she talks about her brother Dash, who's a lawyer who lives in New York. His story is going to be in the novella. So he is a Williams.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta have family trees.
Yeah.
This is this tree, and this is how they combine together.
Exactly. And that's another thing with this series I'm beginning now is a big family. I want to say it's 5 siblings, 4 brothers and a sister. And I'm learning, all the mistakes I made in the past with timelines and stuff. what happens when, who was born when, how everybody's ages and stuff. I'm definitely trying to lay all of that out neatly in the beginning, instead of trying to go back and pull all of that information out, because that makes you want to just jump off of a building. For real.
Right? Exactly. Well, it's like you need to have your own file. This is your own, like,
story Bible.
Exactly. Here's what my characters say. And that's kind of crazy. Like we have this thing that I use for a particular publisher with my authors through my agency. It's called a book map, and it lays all that stuff out there. It wants you to know, like, what do they look like, how old they are, like all this kind of information. And then my authors that use it, they're like, this is fantastic. I can keep up with who's what, when, where, why, and how, because you've got all this stuff going together, and it's hard to keep up with. And especially if you're going to do, like, that's the thing. I don't know if you've ever read any of Brenda Jackson's books, but, she does that Westmoreland family. Lord, there's like 20 of them or something crazy. I'm like, how do you keep up with all these people? Like Bella Andre, I don't know if you've ever read Bella Andre, but she has that that series. There's 9 children. I can't remember what their last names are. They own the winery, and then there's one that's like an actor, one's a baseball player, one's a hockey player or something, and then there's like a sister that's a PR person for.
Always go for the big family.
Right. And it's like, how do you remember all this stuff about your characters? You have to have some kind of big poster with everything written on it so you can remember who.
I love the Pinterest boards, and I do keep a Pinterest board for every book. So, I usually make it private while I'm writing the book, but then, by the time I release the book, at least there's a Pinterest board and there's a playlist. So, and that Pinterest board really comes in handy when it's time to do the art fact sheets and stuff for your publisher. Then I just actually turned in an art fact sheet for this Harlequin Desire book, that first one. So it was easy to go and say, hey, here's the person who, here's the inspiration for the hero, the heroine, for the place where this scene takes, the venue where the scene takes place and all of that. That made it really easy. So I do love Pinterest. It is another place where you can fall into a rabbit hole.
So suck right on in.
I go there all the time looking for one thing, or sometimes I will go there just for my board. Like I have boards for like recipes and stuff, and I'll go and I'll say, okay, I want to make this casserole that I know I pinned on there, and like 2 hours later, I'm like, what happened to me?
What did I do with my time? Right.
What happened to me? So I try to avoid it whenever I can, but and same thing with YouTube and the playlist. I just added 2 songs to the playlist for that book too today. So
yes, I'm gonna have to take you with me here, because this just reminded me. Sandy said that I needed to get out of her head because she was just thinking about the Westmorelands. Yeah. Well, it's easy to do. So she was also talking about family trees, and I don't know, Sandy, did she answer your question? She asked about when is this new family series going to start? It's this one that's releasing in January.
That one starts March 2018.
Oh, there you go. So you have to come to my bookshelf here so I can get this. There's this one. See, here we go.
Oh, okay. Nice.
This is Christine Feehan. She has well, this is a hardback.
Yeah.
Of her stuff she writes for.
That's really neat.
Penguin. But she has like the last name is funny. So like here she's got, this is a paranormal. So at the top, she's got like the last names, and then she's got all the spouses, so blah blah blah. And then down here, this section is like what beast they are.
Oh, okay, got it.
So she has like 2 different charts because she has.
I need to do one of those, because those little drawings that I'm doing of the family trees is like not happening. So I I need to do that. That
Yeah.
was very helpful. So
Yeah. You have to tell somebody at Harlequin, I need one of those Christine family trees.
yeah,
Yes.
that probably would not. At least if nothing else, I need to do one probably and put it on the website. And I actually did mean to do that because I was on somebody's website, I can't remember who, and they did a really good job of breaking down the different families and who was who and who married whom, and the order of the books and stuff. Like, I need to do that one day. When I have some time, but that is very cool, especially for readers of a series when it's going on.
Yes, you can keep up with which is which, because there's a lot. Like, I like how they do that in those books. That's one I've not read that I just collect, because it's a hardback book. I don't want to be breaking the spine. But anyway, it's really cool. Like, I think it's really, really neat just to be able to see who's connected how and what their beasts are, whatever their specialty, and then does it connect to the families, all that intertwining there. But yeah, your webmaster, whoever does your website, if you pull that off.
Well, and especially I guess in a book like that too, where basically you're building this whole other world. It's nice to have all that information there. So you need it. I would love to do the family history to go on my website, but I also would like to do a drawing of the town of Pleasure Cove. So, everybody knows where everything is, all the little stores and shops and what have you that are part of the series. And definitely I'm going to do that with this new series, if nothing else in my head and then on the website to know, where everything is in town. So, because I think, with Pleasure Cove, it is technically a small town, but it's kind of I think of it as a big small, like where I live now, it's considered a small town, but we're growing really fast. And so we have like 20,000 plus people, it's not that big, but, it's kind of one of those growing kind of, quickly growing towns. Whereas the town I'm writing about now is just like a one-horse town kind of town. It's like a 300 people in town.
One stoplight. Might be just a stop sign kind of town.
Yeah. So this is like all small town. So
have you ever read Katie Regenery?
No.
She has a series that unfortunately she just decided to stop, but it's called the Blueberry Lane. And it's it has lots of spin-off stories, but it's like Billionaire Row, Ridiculous Millionaire, whatever. And they have all these different families. The books are about the children of each family, like as adults, their love story. But she has in the beginning of hers, I'm just giving you examples here, but she has like a little map of like the street in the beginning of her stories that she has with where each family lives on like this road where all these wealthy families that are intertwined. Some get married with some of the other people or some are best friends, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that might be something to look at too. Even if you look at the sample.
That's very cool. And as you said, Blueberry Lane.
Yes, Blueberry Lane. But I think even if you just look at the sample online, you could probably see the drawing. But she has them in the I've gotten ARCs, and they're in the ARCs, so they might be in the they're probably in.
There's probably like an app or something where you can like build a town or something. I'm hoping, because I am like my gift is words. I love music and I love art, but I suck at both. So like I can't even do stick figures. It's just really bad.
Yeah, I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, so it's up the creek with that.
So, but I'm hoping it would be awesome if there's an app that does that. But of course, then I will probably end up falling down that. That sounds like
that's cool. You spend hours and hours and hours doing that.
Oh, God. So, like I say, even if I just have my husband, who's a much better artist than I am, to just draw a little town. But from the beginning, I'm going to set it up and so I know where everything is.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I wonder if do I have a physical copy of this book? There's Charlene Harris.
Mm-hmm.
She's the lady that wrote the Southern Vampire series, which True Blood came from. She has a Midnight Texas series. I'm trying to look on my bookshelf and see if they would have been in. I have one shelf of hardbacks, and so that's why I keep looking over there, because I would have probably gotten it from her publisher in hardback. I know I got one of those suckers in print, but where did I put it? I wonder. Well, that might be something else to check out too, just to see how she has her town. But anyway, Sandy says she recently asked Marie Farella if she would do something like this for her Kavanaugh series. There's 36 books in that.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. That's some insanity right there. They're all
right to do it in the beginning. Set it up in the beginning.
That's exactly right. Hard to like, get all that.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but at least, well, I don't know, like Microsoft Publisher, if you can get the right little design, to map out there, it's kind of, but I don't know, somebody would rather do it in Photoshop or something.
I haven't used it in years and years. I mean, I would like to think that once I got back in it, it would come back to me, but I just have not used Publisher in so long. So, but I do have it. I do have it, so.
Might be something to play with. Here's a little box here with somebody's name in it. Yeah, the one thing I don't like about Publisher is that
something to hire somebody for, so that I won't end up falling down the rabbit hole and I can spend time writing.
Right, tell them what you want. Say, here's what I think it needs to look like, and I'm at it.
That would be very useful.
Cover designers or somebody like that. Somebody could design it.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I said. So it has been fun doing the research, and I'm like fascinated. And so, and I will just say, it's this family. Their industry is liquor. And but it's like every day I'm telling my husband, did you know? And I'm giving him these stats about, liquor and how it's made and why it's made, where it's made. And he's like, yeah, he gives me that nice, polite, fascinated face, but like he's not nearly as fascinated as I am by it. And the funny thing is, like, I'm not even a hard drinker. I don't even drink the liquor that they make, but now I want to. So
just to see, can I tell that it's from this place?
Yeah. And I want to do all those tours and stuff. And so I would love to say I'm going to do it before the book comes out, but I probably won't end up getting a chance to do it. But I do want to go on some of those tours. So I'm fascinated by things like that.
Mm-hmm. See, this is going to give it away. Can I guess?
Yep, you can.
Is it bourbon?
You got it.
He's out liquor, and I'm like, we're going to Kentucky.
You got it. The working name of the series right now is going to be the Bourbon Brothers. So it is about a family that makes bourbon. So I'm like fascinated. I'm like watching all these videos on YouTube of these different plants or distilleries where they make the different kinds of bourbon and stuff. And I'm watching, people on tours, and I'm watching tutorials on them, and I'm watching tutorials on, 5 best bourbons for beginner bourbons drinkers to drink, and just all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's easy to get caught down the rabbit hole.
Did you sign up to the Next Step PR is doing in 2019. They're not going to do one in 2018. She's skipping a year, but they're doing in Lexington, Kentucky. Hosting a book.
Now, who is this now?
The Next Step PR, Kiki Chatfield.
Oh, okay.
So you should write that on your to-do list.
Yes.
Stephanie's to-do list right here. There's 4 things already on that sucker. But yeah, so she's hosting a book signing there. That would be kind of cool.
It would indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been to Kentucky. I've been through. No, I'll take that back. I have been there once, but mostly I just remember driving like through it because I grew up in Cleveland. As a matter of fact, and we lived in Cleveland for like almost first almost 40 years of my life I lived in Cleveland. And when I was a kid, since my mother is from, she was raised in Mississippi, but Coldwater, Mississippi. And she was born in Memphis. But every year we would go and drive down there, drive the 18 hours from Cleveland to Memphis in this tiny little car. And I hated those long drives. I hated them. And I hated driving that long bridge from between Cincinnati and Kentucky. Oh my God. I was terrified. Like, don't like height, didn't like water. Hello. So it was like torture, you know, making me do that trip every time. I would be so terrified. So I haven't been there to just like go and visit ever. I've been through there a few times, maybe stopped and shopped or something, but I do plan on going there. So, and actually, there's like really two places that they make it, you know, Kentucky. Everybody thinks of Kentucky, but I'm going with Tennessee. My family is from Tennessee. And so the series is based in Tennessee as opposed to Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That'll be different because, you know, most people think of Kentucky when they think of bourbon. And of course, you know, there's the Derby. So yeah, that's the
right.
double whammy with the bourbon and the races. And but that'll be good that you're doing it in a different location because then it'll give people another perception.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I was fascinated by. Like when I started looking at research, and I'm like, why are they all in Kentucky and Tennessee? I mean, there are places now where they're starting to make it elsewhere, but you know, the history of it has always been like Kentucky, and it's the water. You know, the limestone gives it a higher calcium content, and it filters out a lot of the bitterness that would be in the water that would change the taste of it. So yeah, I'm super fascinated. So like, I totally want to go, you know, to
that's kind of cool. Well, you couldn't make it in Raleigh because there's no limestone in Raleigh whatsoever. It's all red clay.
Yeah. So I was debating where I was going to do it. And I mean, originally I wanted to do it elsewhere. And then as I started to research it and I found out about, you know, the whole thing with the water, like I said, there are other places that are doing it, but I wanted it to be somewhere, you know, one of the strongholds of it. So yeah, I definitely decided to go with Tennessee where there's less, you know, we have a major player there, Jack Daniels, but you know, it's just not as many as you'll find in Kentucky. So, and yes, I've already picked, I looked at a video of like the 5 bourbons for the beginner bourbon drinker to drink. And so I'm going to pick 3 of those and try them and see if I like them. So
yeah, well, you know, TGI Fridays even cooks with the
Scotch. I used to watch How I Met Your Mother. I never got around to drinking it, but I kept saying I want to try it because they're always drinking the Scotch and like they're making it look so amazing. So,
my mother loves Scotch, and I'm just like, that's
because I'm just totally not very much of a drinker, and when I do, it's usually, you know, just like sweet kind of cocktails.
Me too. Yeah, frou-frou-y. Yeah, well, I mean, like you drink, I mean, that stuff just, it smells bad to me. It's like just strong and it burns your throat. Who wants to drink something that's going to burn your throat?
Well, I think that's too why I've always felt that way, because when I was a kid, I remember there's some brand of ginger ale that used to make in this little glass green bottle. And there was there was a bottle in the refrigerator. I'm like, I want some ginger ale, you know. So I go and I get this bottle and I drink out of this bottle, and like my mouth is on fire. Like I have like 2 sips and my mouth is on fire. I think I'm gonna die. And apparently my father had put gin in.
Oh, geez.
And like I have ever since then, like, yeah. So I'm like, no thanks. I'm good. I'm all right. So
that would be probably the Seagram's. Seagram's is a green bottle.
It probably was that, because I still like Seagram's ginger ale. I can't find it all the time around here, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just get my mama loves Scotch, and I'm just like, my poor throat. I don't know. She would let me try it as a kid.
Trying beer, and I just don't like it. I've tried a bunch of different ones. Like there are some that I can deal with more than others. Like I can do for a while I liked like the hard cider, like the Angry Orchard and stuff like that. And this makes me seem so stupid, but so I had somebody over for the Super Bowl, and she was like, I don't drink beer. And I said, this is not beer. This is, hard cider, blah, blah, blah. And so then she tasted it. She was like, this tastes like beer. And so like after that, like I really paid attention, and I'm like, it tastes like beer with an aftertaste. So I haven't had any since then. But, so I've tried the different ones, and there's ones I can tolerate more than others, but I've not come across one yet that makes me want to makes me want to grab a beer. So
yeah, the one and only time I'm not a beer drinker, I can't stand the yeast smell, much less the taste, and it's just gross. The only time I've ever really been able to drink one and like you feel like I enjoyed the thing was the Hornsby's apple cider beer. And that was good. I mean, like you said, it tastes like apples, and you couldn't really taste the yeast, whatever was more apple-y than it was yeasty, but I don't even go looking for that in the store. I don't drink much, and especially since kids and all that jazz, it's been years since. I mean, I might have one alcoholic beverage a year, maybe one, if that. It's pushing it.
I mean, I kind of hate that I don't like it that much because we have so many cool breweries around here. There's a lot of around here locally. And they always have these little cool events and stuff. And so I say I'm gonna go there, and usually don't. But
right, because all I'm gonna have is beer.
We have lots of really cool stuff. So as a matter of fact, one of the festivals, this town has lots of festivals, which I love. And one is called the Barbecue Blues and Brews, I think it is. So yeah, it's all about the beer and the pork and the barbecue, and I'm all about the barbecue and the like cider or whatever. So yeah,
whatever works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't. I don't know. It's a hard taste, but at least you're learning about the bourbon, and hopefully, if you try, like I read a lot. I mean, obviously, I read a lot of books, but I read a lot that incorporates bourbon into a lot, or whiskey, those kind of things into the Glenlivet. Like I'm like, what is Glenlivet? Or like that other one that starts with an M that I don't think I could ever pronounce. Like McClellan or something, but it's different than McClellan.
Oh, you're talking about a Scotch?
Yeah.
The expensive Scotch, which
that top shelf stuff.
Yeah. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's. I think it's like close to what you said, because actually that is used in Playing with Desire. Actually, there
you go. Look it up.
It is in there. I know he drinks it at some point. So yeah.
I don't even, and I'm thinking, what does this stuff taste like? You're gonna spend hundreds of dollars, or not hundreds, but darn near close to it for this alcohol. It better taste like, candy. What's the difference? But yeah, I haven't ever tried like Jack Daniels or any of that stuff. I've never tried any of it, so it's like, I don't know. Other than, like TGI Fridays has that Jack Daniels.
Macallan.
Whatever.
Macallan 25.
There you go. Yeah. That stuff. But like TGI Fridays has those Jack Daniels. I guess they're like wings or ribs, and I don't eat wings or ribs, but my husband does, and I'll taste, like
ribs. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I love that stuff.
But they're flavored with the Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about all that, but one of these days, maybe I'll be brave enough to say, can I try some of that? Like,
well, they have their own barbecue. They just have a straight barbecue sauce you can buy in the store, or at least they have in the grocery store here. But usually Fridays is restaurant. I think it was the first place I had the Jack Daniels barbecue, and it is delicious. It is absolutely delicious. But knowing how much the bottles of bourbon cost, I'm like, I don't know if I want to put it in my barbecue sauce.
Right? Is this like the sludge you use for the barbecue sauce?
I'm like, yeah, no. Mama's got to save that for another day.
Right. Exactly. That's different research. Don't want to know. Some things you just don't want to know.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, Donna says the Jack Daniel's sauce is awesome. She doesn't drink at all. She's never had alcohol, but she'll drink.
Because the alcohol cooks off anyway when they, use it.
Yep, it burns right in the.
Delicious.
All the time. Don't mind me.
I was so excited when I saw it on the shelf in the grocery store because I didn't think they sold the sauce, by itself. But it is good. So, I mean, that's one thing as a Northerner who moved to the South. I think it'll be 8 years that we've been here in August. But when we moved here and we would say, okay, I want barbecue, and we go to a barbecue place, we're expecting, a rack of ribs on bones, and most of the places here, it's like chopped barbecue. It's like select places that you can go where you get a rack of ribs. So that was different for me.
Jonathan having a grocery store. Yes, they do. It might just only be in the Carolinas, but yes.
Just say it again. Yeah. I guess I don't know if it's just here, but I saw it on the Food Lion or something on the shelf at Food Lion. I was a little excited. I did not break dance in the aisle, but I might have been doing a little moving around.
Right, exactly. Well, and it might just be Food Lion, and that's a Carolinas grocery store, so it's
yeah.
You have to come visit, Donna, so you can get some
it's possible that most of it's in southern stores, but who knows?
I was going to say they probably had it in Piggly Wiggly too, but since that's gone out of business,
are they really? Because I don't know where one is. So I can't remember where I was when I went to a Piggly Wiggly, what state I was in. Because I was on vacation. I was visiting someone else when I went to one, so I don't remember where it was.
Yeah, they found it was based out of Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
And if you see, if you go to Charleston and you see the people that own Piggly Wiggly, they have pig statues out in front of their home.
I was in Charleston earlier this year for our anniversary. We made a trip up there. And Charleston actually makes his way in this book, the bourbon book, because they take a trip there. But so that's a little bit of travel coming into one of the books. So, but I don't remember seeing pig statue. I can't remember if I saw a pig statue or not.
Yeah, the next time you go, you take the historical tour, you'll have to have to look for the pig house. But it's in the historical part of Charleston, and they have little pigs out front, and so those are the people that used to own.
Wow.
Well, I'm assuming the pigs are still there. I can't remember why it went out of business. Did somebody in the family die, and then somebody sold it? I don't remember. But anyhow, or they just got, I don't know. But yeah, it's no longer. Big, but the owners, they have pig statues out in front of their house in historical Charleston. So for those of you that are going to Charleston anytime soon, watching this show, you'll have to look out for the pigs.
Well, I know I loved it, and we'll definitely be going back because it's not that far of a drive from here. So we loved it, and we can't wait to go back. And that was my first time going there. Yeah, that was my first time going there. So I'm definitely looking forward to going back and exploring some more because we were there for a long weekend. I would love to go back and spend a little bit more time. So
yeah, Charleston, I can never get enough Charleston. It's beautiful. Yes, Sandy says she's a Yankee and she doesn't know much about what we're talking about, but yes, you have to make some time, Sandy, to come down here. And I live in South Carolina currently. I grew up in North Carolina where Reese lives currently. And now I live in the Myrtle Beach area, and then Charleston's only 2 hours from here. I even as a kid, I love Charleston. There's so much historical stuff down there, and it is a beautiful place to visit. There's lots to see and do, and just Yeah, I mean, I just like to go and walk around the slave market and shop. I mean, they've got so many crafts.
I didn't get a chance to go there. And one of the things we were looking for, and I'm trying to, do that without saying my actual name. But anyway, one of the things that's cool about Charleston too is, my husband's name is, when we lived in Ohio, especially, like we were the only ones at the phone book with that last name. It was us, his parents, his brother, and his wife. That was it. And in South Carolina, it's a very common name, and there are even, structures and stuff, with that last name. So that was kind of cool going down there and seeing that. And then his uncle owned a shop, a body shop, for many, many years on King Street. And we were like trying to walk around and find it. We knew he sold it. And so we're looking for a body shop on King Street. We're walking like the whole thing. We can't find it. Well, it turns out that they changed it they bought the building, but they turned it into like an oyster house or a clam house or something like that. So the building was there and it even kept his name on it. But it's now a restaurant as opposed to a body shop, which I think is so weird that it was once a body shop, and it's a restaurant now with the same name.
Yeah, it's hard, like, because you can't do anything down there. I mean, the space is like this big, the streets, and you can't, there's hardly any parking. You can't tear anything down. You almost can't renovate stuff. Like, there was a grocery store. I don't know you passed it. You have to in order to get downtown on King Street. So, like, there's a, I think it's a Harris Teeter. I don't know, it's on the left-hand side. So you're driving, and it used to be, I guess it used to be like a cottage, like a barn. It used to be like a barn, but it's not a barn. Okay. So like, where you, lawn, Stephanie. Stables, kind of like that, but where they park the horse and buggy.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, whatever those things are called.
Livery.
I can't remember right now. It's now like this grocery store. So like you're driving and like where the stalls are, they now have closed in the doors. So you see the outline of the door, and they've got like the little X's and stuff on it that look like it's a stall, but it's not. It doesn't open anymore. So like people go in.
See that? That's what is it? What is a Harris Teeter? You said?
I think it's a Harris Teeter.
It's going on the to-do list.
Yeah, check that out. It's on the left-hand side when you're driving into Charleston, like into the downtown area, and
it used to be a livery or a stables.
Yeah, you need to, next time you go, you need to take the horse and buggy tour.
Yeah,
around town. If you haven't taken that,
we went in January because our anniversary was in January. But so it wasn't. I mean, it was nice enough. We were walking around with just like light jackets on, but we didn't. We didn't think it was going to be warm enough to like horse and buggy, so we didn't do anything like that. Plus, at the time, I was tired after a bunch of writing, and we got there, and I spent like almost 24 hours like sleeping and just in the hotel room. And I was cool with that. And watching HGTV, I was watching HGTV, laying in the bed, taking naps, and I was really cool with that. So that left us less time to get out and explore the town. Plus, we went to see relatives and stuff. So
I'm trying to think. What do we have? We used to have a painting in here in my house of Number 2 Meeting Street, and if you haven't seen my Number 2 Meeting Street, you need to check that out. Maybe, what did we do with that thing? Anyway, it's now a bed and breakfast, but on the historical tour you'll learn about it, and you can stay there. Obviously it's a bed and breakfast. You have to get, it's right there at the end of the Battery by the river, and so it's Number 2 Meeting Street, and there are 2 windows left in that house that are handmade Tiffany stained glass windows. They're insured for over $1 million a piece.
Wow.
But that house was a wedding gift from the bride's parents, I believe, and they were friends with the Tiffany guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they got these windows. But because of, Charleston is prone to fire, earthquake, and of course hurricanes. And so between all of those, they only have those two windows left that are original Tiffany made windows in this home. And or now it's bed and breakfast. But how would you like to get, I mean, now obviously then it wasn't that big of a deal because Tiffany was just whatever, but if this wedding gift, your parents give you this house, build you this house with Tiffany windows in it. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful house, and it has like a live oak out in the front yard that like just kind of like looks over the street, kind of the way it kind of just bends over. I guess it's trying to get sunlight. Because the little park area at the end of the Battery before you get to the water, there's a bunch of trees there. So I guess it's trying to get out from their shadow to get some sunlight. But it's just a beautiful, humongous home. I keep telling my husband, one day we're going to stay at number 2 Meeting Street. I want to see these windows up close and personal. And I want to see how this house looks like. Like I want, like what all kinds of detail they put in it for their daughter for her wedding gift. Those kind of things. Is there a library? I want to go in there.
That's just like I'm so fascinated with Biltmore.
Oh my gosh. You just spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in that place.
And next time I want to do the behind the scenes tours. Like we did the guided tour or whatever. We went like during the holiday season. So we got a chance to go at night and see it with the the holiday lights and stuff. And then we also got a daytime
Christmas trees.
Yeah, and we also did a daytime tour. But I definitely would love to do the behind the scenes. And I mean, that was before I even, had started watching Downton Abbey. So then I was still fascinated by that whole, kind of world, with the servants and then, the family and it's just so interesting to me.
Right? Well, I mean, all you got to do is become friends with somebody in Vanderbilt because it's still owned. They still own that house. Still own that house.
It's pretty amazing. There's another hotel. There's like a pink building that I wrote into the story that's coming out in January. Wesley and Brianna's story, and I can't think of the name of that building right now. That hotel, the Omni. I think it's the Omni now because it was bought out by somebody else. But it's like a really old, original kind of not as old as Biltmore, but it's a really fascinating structure, lots of history and stuff too. And I'm like, okay. And then they have that like outdoor restaurant. And so where my characters eat. It's like I have all these things on the checklist. I'm going there. I'm doing this. So I'm going to go do that. So
did you, when you went to the Biltmore, did you eat at the stables?
Let me see. Okay, let me think.
I think it might be the only restaurant, unless you're going to the winery.
Is that the one that has the buffet and like inside it's like Christmas lights? I can't remember. I think it was the stables because they had like a really, really nice upscale buffet there or whatever. And we did that. We did the wine tour, the wine tasting, which was amazing. In addition to the so I definitely want to do that. I definitely want to do that. I want to do the wine tour again, rather. So, but I really want to go when, like I said, the tulips and stuff are in bloom. So,
yes,
I have to make that happen.
I graduated from High Point University, and they do tulips every spring. And I always love to go on campus. Even as a student, I was like fascinated. I love tulips; are my favorite flower. And so, one of my my friends from home, she actually just moved back. She was in the Army for 20 years. She just retired, or she was in the Air Force. Sorry, her husband was in the Army. She was in the Air Force. She just retired, and they just moved back to the Raleigh area. Well, they were stationed in Germany for 10, 12, I don't know. She was there for many, many, many years. And they would go to Holland every year in the spring And she would take all these pictures of rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of tulips in them.
Wow.
When she was telling me she was retiring and she was coming home, I was like, you know what? The one thing I will miss most about you not being in Europe is the tulip pictures from Holland, because I look forward to those every single year, seeing all those beautiful rows and rows and rows and multiple colors. I mean, just like, oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I definitely tend to write stuff like that in, just like the series that I wrote with with Karina Bros that was based in Cleveland. So the first book has one of my favorite scenes is in the art museum. I love the Cleveland Art Museum so much. So whenever we do go home, when people are like, oh, we gotta get together, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna meet at the art museum. So I usually end up having, at least with one person, I end up having lunch at the art museum, and then after we have lunch, then I go into the museum. Sometimes I'll do it with them, sometimes I do it by myself, but I love the museum. And I used to go there a lot when my son was little. He took art classes there. And while he was in class those 2 hours, I would be roaming the entire museum, and I loved it. And they've actually finally did like a big scale renovation, like a 10-year renovation plan. They had started like right before we left. So every time I go back, I'm always excited to see, what's new.
What's new?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I'm fascinated by art museums.
I mean, here. Okay, it's a nice art museum. It's I've been there. It's nice, but it's not mine.
Right, it's not your hometown one. Right. Well, I mean, I went to Paris years and years and years ago. And, so I went to the Louvre. Well, there is no art museum on the planet that's ever going to beat the Louvre. There's nothing. I mean, people were like, did you go to the Musée d'Orsay? I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the Musée d'Orsay. I don't want to go. I don't want to care about polka dots. I want to see the Louvre. So we went to, I'm like, you've got all these statues, you've got paintings, you've
definitely on the
all
list.
this different kind of art, in the Louvre. And the Musée d'Orsay is all, what's that called? The dots.
Yeah. Oh, impression.
Yes, thank you.
That's my favorite art, is that whole Impressionist period. I love Monet and Manet and Renoir and Cassatt. Those are my people. So I would love to.
You got to go to the Musée d'Orsay.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not crazy. I'm absolutely taking the Louvre first, but I gotta go to that one too, because like I said, those are my people. I love, that whole style of art. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. Don't get me wrong. It's pretty, but this to me, it just didn't have anything. Because really, that's the whole dang museum. It's all it is. Polka dots. I know that's horrible to say, but I mean, beautiful art.
I'm gonna close the ears of the Monet print outside my office door.
Exactly. Don't listen to her.
Don't listen to her.
Okay.
You are fabulous.
I mean, just seeing all the sculptures and stuff. I mean, the first time I ever saw the Le Penseur, which is the thinker, which, I was like, my mouth. We drove by it, and you didn't actually get to see it up close and personal.
That's the original, not all the prints that we have everywhere else.
Right. I mean, it's the sculpture. Yes, it's the real, the thing for real. And I'm just like, my mouth hit the floor of the bus, Yeah. And then you get inside the Louvre, and then you see the winged Victory. She's just like standing there, and you're like, what all have you seen? Like the walls can talk. If the art could talk, for goodness sake.
I know.
I saw the Mona Lisa. She's whatever. Whatever.
But I mean, what you just said about, if the walls can talk with art, I mean, that's one of the reasons I love art and history, and fascinated by things like the Biltmore. Because like that's what I think. Like when at the art museum in Cleveland, they had there used to be a room that was like the entire room was like a room from a French home, like from the 1800s or something, with all of the furniture and the wall coverings and the ceiling coverings and everything. And I would just sometimes sit there and stare at it. I'm like wondering, who lived there, what were their lives like? And I'm just fascinated because history is just stories. It's just stories that are real, or at least
right, exactly,
realish, because sometimes they're told from one person's point of view and not the other. But
right, what is it going? Yeah, what is it going to? What does it tell us? I mean, that's the thing. Like you're talking, like the Biltmore, and it like the White House, for goodness sakes. I mean, I'd like to, just be. I've never done a White House tour. I've seen it. I've never been inside it because it always sells out so fast.
Yeah, I went outside the gate last fall. But I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, it's like, what all kind of, oh, my family just got here, and they'll probably be like, you're not done yet? I mean, we've been on here for almost 2 hours. I told you we were going to have a problem with this. But yeah, I mean, it's like, all this stuff, I mean, people can write, I mean, obviously they have written stories and stories and stories about stuff that have gone on in those walls, but, figurative and literally, and it's it is fascinating. I mean, I guess for a story lover, I love history too. It's like what are they going to say about those kind of things? Mm-hmm. Crazy. Well, now that it is 9:45.
Oh my gosh.
See, I told you we would be we're all worried about us being like, I'm nervous. I'm like, yeah, well, you get on a chat with me, we just be chatting.
Wow.
And then my kids are going to come in. They'll be all loud and stomping and stuff. And I'll be like, no, don't give me the door. Anyway, and they're not allowed to be on the YouTube. So I guess I will say thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And now, sorry to all of you that are watching, but I'm going to have to hang up now because we're about to have a stampede of people in the room.
If they want to find me, they can go to ReeseRyan.com, Reese with an S, and you'll find me there.
I think it should be linked in the episode information right down below here.
You were quite thorough. You were quite thorough.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you have a good night, and thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate meeting you online.
Yes, you as well. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.